free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity and peace of mind.
God bless, and welcome to God's Healing Answer, a talk show created to encourage its listeners as we discuss relevant topics in a postmodern world. This show is created by Pastor Barbara Potop and is hosted by Pastor Mike Husley. Let's check in now with Pastor Mike as we discover that Jesus is God's healing answer.
Well, welcome everybody once again to God's Healing Answer. We are super happy that you are here with us today. And this is Pastor Mike, and I have my co-host Mary here with me. Hey, Mary. Hi, how's it going, Mary? Mary.
Huh? Yeah.
Okay, you're on the... What's going on? You're on the phone. We got a show.
Oh, I know. Just a minute, Gladys. Let me call you back.
Okay,
I'll
sorry,
call you
folks.
right back.
Sorry
I know,
about this.
but I gotta go.
Okay,
I'm on
all
a
right.
show.
She's usually
I'll be
not
right
like
back.
this. I apologize. Mary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Well, we have a show here. You know it's at this certain time, so I'm surprised. But you know what?
I'm so sorry.
You know, we had a topic we were going to talk about, but I think now, because of this, I think we should talk a little bit more about cell phone etiquette, possibly.
Possibly?
Yeah.
All right, I'll...
Well, that is a thing, actually. Let me tell you, that is a thing. There's times where, we may be having conversation with our friends and whatnot. So this should remind me of circumstances.
That's true.
We have conversation with friends, and they get on the phone. It's like, hold on a second, I got to get this. Okay, well, we were having conversation, and all of a sudden, I became less important.
Well, chopped liver, chopped meat or something.
Well, to be honest, I hate to say it, but I just felt like chopped liver just now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You don't look like it.
Well, I appreciate it. Wow. So, but you know what? It just reminds me of, you can think of it this way as Jesus, cell phones, and social media. How does that all?
Yeah.
How does that all
almost
mix?
sounds like the Trinity there.
No, well, I hope not. Well, I mean, there's an upside and a downside, right? To social media,
yes,
and the phones and Christianity and all that.
Like a lot of things, it can be used for good or evil. There are many things that
it really can. Well, why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think that would be good. I think I need to hear it, for one.
True. Well, folks, we were joking around there just a little bit, but it is reality. There are times where in conversations and the phone just goes off. People forget. I forget to silence my phone at times.
It sounds so urgent when it's ringing. It just sounds so urgent.
Yeah, like if I miss that, something's going to go bad. In fact, I just got a call. I was in a meeting on the phone, okay? Church stuff, important to me, okay? And I didn't want to tell these people, hey, hold on a second, let me get this other call. But it was my son. So I kind of think that's an exception, but I don't know that it was an emergency because I talked to him a half hour earlier. So I swiped him, hung up on him to keep that conversation going. Out of courtesy.
Wow.
So I think we should talk a little bit about that today.
Okay.
Cell phone courtesy. But we also want to talk about how do we use, because a cell phone is a smartphone. And so we use it for multiple things, not for social media platforms and all these things. In fact, what's awesome is that today, if our listeners are on the KKVV Gospel Airship app, then they're tuning in today and have a clear signal because of our smartphones and technology and computers and all that kind of stuff. So that's the good side.
Many benefits.
But you and I know there's a bad side as well.
Of course.
Before we get into all that, I want you to give us, you have a little bit of history of the telephono. And that's Spanish, of course, but the telephone.
Yeah. It comes from a Greek word.
Okay.
And I won't give you the Greek, but tele, T-E-L-E, means far, like telescope is far vision, and telephone is far sound, far projecting sound. And phone is like is a sound or a voice, like phonics is a sound. So telephone is a far-reaching sound. Isn't that interesting? And of course, those of us that are a little older, we remember the time when there were landlines and corded phones, and you could only go out initially maybe 3 feet. Then they become coiled, and you could go out past into another room with it, and then finally the advent of the cordless phone, and boy, that was a convenience.
With a big long antenna, right?
Yeah. And then finally, the cell phone and all the transmitters, towers that we're familiar with now, and all of that, and now Who doesn't have one?
It's crazy.
Everybody has it. I wonder when they're going to give dogs and cats a phone of some kind.
Well, that sparks a lot of interest. As you're telling all that history, I'm thinking too. All of us here, a lot of us, and maybe even some of our listeners, we go back far enough to have these interesting memories. Where our grandparents used to say, "When I was a boy, when I was a girl, we didn't have a phone. We had to walk down to our neighbor's house to get us some milk or whatever."
Yeah.
So we have those stories now. When we were kids, traipsing under the telephone cord when Grandma was talking on the phone.
Try not to get hung by it.
Exactly.
Right? Wrap your head around your neck around it.
What's interesting is I remember being a kid and seeing a picture of a TV telephone, they called it. All right, so there's a TV screen there, of course, black and white. And somehow you're able to talk to people and see them at the same time. And I thought, no way, come on. When is that going to happen? I'll be in the grave by the time that happens.
Right. That's science fiction, right?
Yeah, and look at us now. How about, you remember the show Get Smart?
I do.
And he used to have a cell phone in his shoe.
Yeah.
And I always thought, and even Dick Tracy and talking in the watch and all these things, that no way.
Yeah.
And what am I wearing today? I'm
What are you wearing
I'm
today?
wearing a smartphone.
Oh boy.
And I can, if I don't have my phone handy, I just swipe my watch and I talk to people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They can barely hear me, but it's interesting how we've come so far so fast.
Right.
And again, there's good and there's bad to all this, and so, and folks, we're going to talk about that today. I want you to stick around because we're going to talk about the good and the bad and the ugly. Okay, and when it comes to cell phones and being a Christian and all these kinds of things, and how we need to be mindful of the downside. And then let's be mindful of the upside.
Absolutely.
Let's utilize it somehow in a really good way. Mary, maybe you can help us a little bit. We talked a little bit ahead of time about the downside of some of this. And I don't know if you have that in your notes handy. I can look up mine as well. And
well, before we do, Pastor Mike, are we going to tell people where we're from?
True.
Did we just drop out of the sky here?
This is going to be the quickest the quickest intro of where we're from. Trinity Life Center. If you want to know more about Trinity Life Center, Randy Gurr is the senior pastor. He's a great man of God. And you can go on our website, of course. It's trinity-life.org. And just like almost any church you've gone to, there's everything there for you. Whether you are an infant or you're a senior, whatever the case is, you can come as early as 9 and catch our Connect Point Sunday School and a prayer meeting, and then our service at 10 goes all the way to noon. So be ready and come and join us. So trinity-life.org. And you can go on the webpage there. And, of course, you and I, we deal with the beautiful, wonderful kids. I never thought I'd be working with kids so long, and I love it. I just love it. They're
they
so
keep
wonderful.
Us young, don't they?
I think so. Yes, we have a great time with them. So come on out and check it out, everybody.
Wednesday nights.
Wednesday nights, we have that too.
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
Yep. So come on out and join us. We have a great time. So let's get to this. Let's talk about the upside, the downside, the good, the bad, and the ugly about cell phones and social media.
Okay, which one do you want first, the good, the bad, or the ugly?
Let's see, good news, bad news. I always want the good news, but let's go bad first because we want to. We also want to do an inventory. So we want people, as we're talking about the bad side, maybe the upside as well. Let's see, is this what you do?
Right.
You know, are you part of this bad side? I'm not saying you're a bad person, but do you indulge in some of the I don't know, debate or the negative discussion? You know, on social media, a lot do, and it really causes a lot of division, even between believers. Which I don't like to see. I know an individual that had to take this individual off of their feed or whatever you call it because of some of the things they were saying in a negative way. And this other individual thought they were saying positive things about speaking negative of you know, other people or movements or whatever. And I just don't agree with all that. And so we just have to look at that, do an inventory of ourselves.
Self-examination.
And just let's get a little bit better at, you know, sharing the light of the kingdom of God through this medium of social media.
We talked, we've had show before where we talked about being teachable, being accountable.
Exactly.
Using self-examination.
Yeah.
So some of the dangers of the cell phone world are the capacity to gossip and slander others. And the danger of that, besides the hurt, is that the technology is able to be sent out and viewed by hundreds of millions of people. If you're connected with the, if it gets on the internet, hundreds of millions of people. And like you said before, it's out there forever. It's like the old an analogy or metaphor of when you talk about somebody, it's like cutting open a feather pillow and the wind blows all the feathers away, and now you're going to try to retrieve them all, and it's virtually impossible.
Exactly. One thing, I did a communications class, and one of the things that was mentioned, is probably the only thing I remember about this class, unfortunately, is they talked about how this modern day and age that, like you just said, everything's recorded and it will not. It's very hard to cause it to disappear. A lot of people have been eliminated from their positions, have been deleted basically because of things they have said in the past. And I don't agree with all of it. All I know is that you got to be careful with what you say, because if you get in a place of leadership, people are going to dig things up, and there's no backpedaling from negative things that you've said. So you have to be very, very careful that what you say, and keep it on the positive side. Yeah.
Yes. And an interesting tidbit is that in 2023, a Syrian survey found that 47% of Americans consider themselves addicted to the phone.
Wow.
And 40% of 18 to 22-year-olds consider that they are addicted to the social media, and that they said that the average American checks their phone at least 352 times a day. Now that's not me, but
is that
maybe
you, Bruni? Do you do that, Bruni?
352 times a day.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there she is on her phone. I'm sure it's something very critical and important, more important than our show.
And some
I'm
of
sure.
it is vocation driven. Has to do
it really
with your
is.
Work.
Yeah.
And then the excessive use medically is eye strain, weight gain, sleep disturbances, and also psychological symptoms, withdrawal symptoms like irritability and anxiety. Have you ever lost your phone or misplaced it for some period of time, and you've had to leave the house or leave somewhere, and you don't have your phone, and you feel like something terrible is going to happen to you? How are you ever going to be all right without it for an hour or so?
Well, I wonder who can relate to that, Mary.
Yeah. I'm speaking to her right
now. In fact, just so you know, I don't want to promote any type of I don't know, hardware or whatever, air tags or whatever they are, but I just bought Mary a certain air tag for her keys because she loses them quite a bit, and
I lost the air tag.
You better not.
I need an air tag to find my air tag.
All right. Okay. All right. So yeah. Yeah, and again, so inventory, everything you just mentioned, is that any one of us? I wonder how many times I pick up my phone and check it. It is a lot, but again, being a pastor, there is a lot of that. I get a lot of, I'm very well attached to my phone because I want to get back to people right away.
Well, that's your job, though.
It's a little bit, excuse me, a little bit different. But yeah, I'm concerned about, you saying that there's this addiction to your cell phone. Really? Wow.
There's so much information, and where did I have it here on the notes? I talked about, that the phone is used for, and the internet, if you will, education, entertainment, news, shopping, bills, and banking, and social interaction. I mean, it's kind of a one-stop shopping.
That's true. So I mean, when you think of that, it's not always a negative thing if you're on your phone a lot. Everything is connected with the phone. If the phones ever die, I think we're in some pretty big trouble. So I think that's something to think about too. Have hard copies of things. I mean, if you ask me my son's phone number, I don't know it. My daughter's phone number, I don't know it. I know mine and I know my wife's.
Yeah.
And so that's not good.
Maybe we should consider fasting. Phone cell fasting. How about that?
Well, I don't know about that. You have emergencies and things like that.
Right.
So there are. But anyway, all that. So, we have to ask ourselves, are we, it'd be interesting if we knew what the signs of addiction were.
Well, they say if you feel anxiety or irritability without it, which I do,
Yeah. Well,
that's a sign.
I'm proud that sometimes I'll be on the couch with my wife and we might be watching a show or something, and an hour has passed, and I'm like, "Where's my phone?" And it's like I was able to be without my phone
Yeah.
for an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pat me on the back.
Well, give your wife kudos on that one.
All right. Well, we need to move along here a little bit. So that's any more of the negative stuff, so we can kind of just do an inventory on ourselves.
Oh, the safety risk. You know,
Oh,
that
yeah.
there's people that are tempted and use it when they're driving. They increase their
Mary,
rate.
everybody does. I don't think there's a
Yeah.
listener out there that would say, I don't do that.
Yeah, raise your hand.
I mean,
No-
I'm a
nobody's
pastor. I
raising their
can't
hand.
lie. And there are times I had to tell myself this morning coming in because it just felt like, okay, this volunteer, parishioner, or employee, I had to get back to them. And it's like, well, the traffic is slow.
Or you're at a
But
red
you
light.
know what I tell myself? I say this, listen, if I'm texting while I'm driving, I'm not only putting other people at risk, I'm putting myself and my whole family
That's a good
at
thought,
risk. Because
yeah.
if I hurt myself,
Yeah.
if I damage my car and lose my vehicle,
Yeah.
it affects my family.
It's
There's
just
collateral
not worth it.
damage. It's really
not
not.
worth
So
it.
there was a police officer one time on a news report and they just talked about cell phone safety and all that kind of stuff. And they said if you have a hard time with keeping away from handling your phone while you're in your car,
Yeah.
put it in your trunk or put it in your glove box while you're driving. Just get rid of the thing.
Yeah.
And there's times when I have
Yeah.
to ask myself that question. Maybe I need to consider that because I'm not being honest. I will stop at a stoplight and I will kind of look to see who has texted me, where did the email come from, and all that business.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but I understand too. When you're in your cars, you have the Bluetooth. And a lot of people, like all my kids, they get their music from their phone.
Right.
It's different. Things are different.
Yeah.
I'm not that way. I'm old school, so everything's right there on the dash and all that kind of stuff. But there's some things here. We got to have a balance. We got to be careful. It is illegal. It's against the law to handle your phone while you're in your car at any time. That's my understanding. So my understanding too, we talked about if you're in an accident, they have the right to take your phone, take a look at it, and find out when was the last moment you were on your phone to see if.
I understand that's the first thing
And I
they
think
do.
I think it's fair. I mean, it might be an invasion of
Yeah.
privacy, but I just think it's fair. Anyway, that's all the negative stuff.
Well, one more thing, and my husband wanted me to make sure that that we bring up the fact that if you're a pedestrian and you're using a phone, you're not paying any attention
Yep.
when you're crossing a street or crossing a parking lot or something.
Yep.
You just assume you're just totally taken up by it, and boy, is that risky.
Yeah, I only giggle a little bit because you can go on YouTube and look up people texting and walking, and they're running.
my goodness.
They're running into poles.
Oh.
They're stepping off the curb, didn't realize it's there. And it is dangerous. I've been there too. You know, I was at the church and I need to go down the stairs and I stopped right at the top because I'm texting this individual. I got to do it right now, right? And so I just stopped because I know I cannot text and go downstairs at the same time because I don't want to get hurt, and I will. Okay, so hey, listeners, we love you. I know we're not real spiritual today. We probably can get
We're
a little
going to
bit.
bring some scriptures
We
into
are.
this.
We got about
Yes.
10 minutes left, so we want to be careful. But we just thought this was kind of an interesting topic. And can we get into like phone courtesy maybe? And we'll get
Yeah.
into the positive spiritual
Yeah,
stuff.
phone courtesy
This-
is a lovely.
And this should be
thing, yeah.
this should be pretty quick. Because we can all relate to it, and I relate to it too. And I got called out on it, kind of, sort of, this last week in a staff meeting where the lead chairman was going to speak on some things, but I had to get a text message to somebody because they're waiting on me, right?
Right.
And then the guy next to me, he's on his phone,
Uh-huh.
and the chairman says, "Do I have all your attention?"
No, you do not.
No. And you got to apologize, put the phone down, because what does that say when you're looking at your phone
Yeah.
and someone's talking to you? You're just the message is you don't care.
It sends disrespect.
It really does.
Even if it's not intended, it can be read that way.
Well, and we all experience that too. I mean, we're trying to talk to somebody and they're texting, they think it's important, but that's making us feel like we're not important. So, put your phone away during meetings.
Yeah.
I got another friend that's in these same meetings, and I don't think he knows how to silence his phone. I don't think he knows how to put it on vibrate.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden this song breaks out. That's his ringtone.
Oh, that's funny.
And he excuses himself from the meeting. But what is it? It's an interruption.
Yeah, it is.
So if you want to show respect and professionalism, put that phone away during meetings.
Yes.
Don't fondle with your phone, or fiddle. It says fiddle with your phone while driving. We talked about that already. Don't have your phone on the dinner table. How many times we go to the restaurant
Yeah.
and I'll look around, and of
Yeah.
course all the kids and teens, they got
Yeah.
their phones out,
Yeah.
right? Not much less the adults.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, actually. If
Yeah,
you
it's-
can't if you can't sit there and socialize with a person you care about, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And-
True.
yeah. So and again, it's just something you gotta create a habit. I take my phone, I put it on the seat next to me, and I give all my attention to my wife because I know better, actually.
And that's why you're still married.
Yeah, 30 years strong this year. Yeah, and so it just shows respect. It shows love is what that does. And it says mobile calls in public transportation isn't polite. Mobile calls in public transportation isn't polite. So
In
you know.
public places.
Well,
even.
you're on the plane. Obviously, that's something you don't do. When you're on the bus or whatever it is you're doing. And then you and I talked about being in the doctor's office. I went into a
Right.
doctor's office. There's a sign that says
Yes.
no phone calls while in the waiting.
Yeah.
In the office area. And I've been there before. People on the phone talking super loud.
It's so annoying.
Yeah. Yep. What would Jesus do is a question. Let's bring some spiritualness into this.
I like
what would
that.
Jesus do? He would give all his attention to the individuals, and he always did.
And he would. Yeah.
I was
Even
watching.
if he got texted by a Pharisee, he would know. He would not answer.
True. I was watching The Chosen. I love the part in The Chosen where he's out kind of camping out by himself, and some little kid shows up.
Oh.
And she's spying on him, like, what is this guy doing, right? And I think Jesus was making something, so the child was interested. And the next day, that child comes with about 5 of her friends,
Oh.
and then Jesus actually sees them, looking at him, spying on him, and somehow he calls them over and start having conversation with them for a couple of days,
Yeah.
and it just shows the love, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
that
Attention equals
attention.
love.
It does. Yeah. How do you spell love? Time.
Yes. Good,
Right?
Good. That's a good one.
Yeah, give them your time. Give them your.
yeah.
I don't know how to spell attention, but how do you spell love? Attention. ATTI.
Don't forget TIME. TIME.
Okay,
Is
yes.
good.
Exactly. All right. So that was. We want to get away from the negative. We want to get to the positive here, and talk more about what's the benefits of social media and Jesus.
Oh yeah.
And there's really a lot.
Oh yeah.
There's when you get on social media. I mean, there's these video shorts you can look at, and there's Instagram,
It's awesome.
and there's so much cool stuff on there.
Oh,
This
it's
inspires, encourages,
Yes.
and there's things you can send to people in a positive way.
You can forward it or whatever they call
When
it.
we get into different topics, and I don't want to mention any of them, but when we get into topics that we as conservatives are for, okay, we might go out there and say, how dare you do this, this, and this, and this, when you shouldn't be doing that because God this and God that. We want to be very careful the way we do that, because when I see that kind of stuff, I think it hurts the church. I guess there's probably a time for that, maybe.
There is a
time
time.
and a place.
There is.
Maybe one-on-one. I don't even know then. But that's I don't think that's a positive approach, and I think it can do more damage than good. And so we want to really be careful what we post.
That's good. That's good advice.
Well,
Be careful. Think twice.
Yeah.
Think 3 times maybe.
I've seen Christian friends that this has caused division because even though we agree on the same thing, when we bring this out there into the public and it goes worldwide,
That's right.
it can really cause some trouble, and we just got to really be careful. Again, I know this stuff needs to be communicated,
Right.
but we got to be careful how we communicate it, because I've seen it cause a lot of hurt. I don't know
Yeah.
that it's been food for thought. It's been negative, and it's hurt people, and it could push people away from in a relationship with the Lord. So we want to be really careful that way.
That's good advice.
What's your thoughts, Mary? You got some thoughts on there on how this is a positive thing?
Well, yes. Church services are videoed.
They're viewed.
Viewed. Gospel programs, Bible courses.
Yep.
You have ability to meet, or Zoom groups and Skype and all of that sort of thing, to connect as a group and one-on-one.
Well, we got
Yeah.
shut-ins. We got shut-ins at the church.
Yeah.
And I've talked to different people that they're just going through it health-wise, and they're able to check out the live stream. And if it's not live, they can check out the archive.
Right.
And this is a great time to promote our show.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. You better go into that.
They can go on kkvv.com, okay, and they can go in the
Yeah.
archive and everything. Look up God's Healing Answer.
And many other wonderful shows like Pearls of Truth.
That I've heard of that
Yeah.
one. That's a good one. I think
There
there's
are
one
many.
called Time for, what is
Testimony.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can do that. Of
The
course.
Narrow Path. You got to mention.
Oh,
that
that's another good one,
It's one
too.
of our favorites.
Yeah, yeah. There's several more as well. And you can go on kkvv.com and you can go on the schedule and you can look at the schedule and just see all the different shows. And we got just a few seconds left.
I
and
got to
we're-
give a scripture.
Okay, go.
Philippians 4, verse 5. Let your moderation be known to all men.
Okay.
Your moderation.
Very good. Yeah, we got to be really careful. Hey, folks, we wish we could stay on. We wish today was an hour show,
Yeah,
but it's
we need
not.
it. Yeah,
Well, we
no.
love you, folks. Thank you for being with us. God bless you on God's Healing Answer.
Thank you for joining us today on God's Healing Answer. We would love to hear any feedback you may have by reaching out to us at godshealinganswer@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a Bible-based church, come join us at Trinity Life Center for a 10 a.m. service on Sundays at 1000 East St. Louis Avenue,